a first for me. This is a first live interview I've done, and the nerves are racking. I've got T to help me help me calm down. I
I'm a
don't know
horrible
why.
influence, everyone. This is my fault.
Yeah, my lovely guest convinced me that I should try it, and I'm going to do it. Why not? You go in head first, and you just hope for the best. And all this can do is just help me prepare for further shows.
I
Right?
hope
This
that
is
the editing time, like you're gonna save so much time not editing.
because it's going to go straight to video.
Yeah, we're gonna finish the video. Yeah, no, I love live. I mean, I just I don't know. I mean, once people get the idea that you're going to be on live, they start joining you. Like I have a show Mondays at 8, and people join in and they make comments and they ask questions and they get involved, and you start to get to know the people that show up, and you can interact with them and all that stuff. So it's really nice. And then also you go live. It's there. You watch it. You don't have to worry about it later, post it or whatever. So yeah, bring it
Yeah,
on live. And
fantastic. Man, this is
don't be nervous.
fantastic.
Don't be nervous. Everyone's like, oh, we do it recording so we can edit out the bad stuff. I was like, bad stuff. Who cares? Who cares? Unless you're gonna freaking, your clothes are gonna fall off. You're fine. I mean,
Is it I have been just so used to recording, editing, and then like putting on podcasts, and I've stayed away from live anything for a while because I was just so afraid that I was gonna get that one person on the comments and be like, you shouldn't even deserve to have a computer because because you suck as a creator. You were just a horrible.
and then you just say, thanks. I thought that too, but here I am. I mean, you just flow with it. I mean, I haven't had bad comments. I think I saw a show that had some interesting comments, but you know what? All it did was cause drama and make people want to watch more. So really,
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
it's not bad.
controversy always sparks interest, and
I'm
and
telling
it
you. I
sells.
mean, I was on this show once that they did not plan me at all. Like I've done over 200 shows, and I used to do 42 or so each campaign. This is my 12th campaign. I slowed
Dungeons and
down.
Dragons, Call of Cthulhu. Which one? What is it?
Is it what?
Oh, what campaign are you doing?
Oh, Worthy Chaos.
Oh, Worthy Chaos. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's my comic. We started a year and a half ago. And we're on issue 12. Um, but yeah, so I go every time I have a Kickstarter, which is like every other month. I go on shows and I talk about it, and that's how I get stuff done. um so I was on this show and they didn't tell me that it was a debate show. And it's not that I don't like a debate. It's just that the debate was, do women belong in comics?
Oh
And I
Lord.
was like, I could have used a little more warning of that. I was like, how am I supposed to even debate that? Like, what is my argument? Yes, there. I'm done. Like and it's not about gender roles or whatever. It's just like, why would it matter? Like, what it
Yeah.
what why?
Right.
Like,
Right.
and I said my argument was the only reason why you wouldn't want us is if we're better than you, and if we're not better than you, then we wouldn't last. So what's the big deal? Like, you got what's the problem? So by the end of it, I did win, because they were like, how long have you been doing this? And I at that point, I don't even know. I think issue 8, 9. I think it was 8. I said, I've been doing this a year. And they're like, how many comics do you have out? And I'm like, 8. And they're like, well, you freaking win. Because like none of them had 8. They've been doing it like 5 years and none of them had 8. Um, so I was like, there you go. But it was such a stupid argument, and it's not like you can use facts on it. There really isn't nothing you could say. What are you gonna say?
Right.
Um, so it was a little awkward, and I got told by a lot of people, don't do it, don't go on it. And you know what though? There's two reasons why I did it. Um, One was it was live, and I already made a commitment. So if I don't show
Mhm.
up, then I kind of screwed them over. But two, if I don't go, it looks like women don't belong because I can't defend my role. Like I
Oh
feel bad.
yeah.
Like I can't handle it, kind of thing. So I was like, I kind of have to go, or I'm kind of, you know, screwing us over. Now it's true that there isn't a lot of women in comics, but we're out here. One of my friends, Lori, she does a horror comic too, Path of the Pale Rider.
Really.
Um, Yeah, and you know, in all honesty, when I started making the comics, I was on Twitter, and I do horror, you know. So I didn't tell anyone I was a girl because I wasn't sure that a girl would be taken seriously as a creator, because I didn't know. I jumped into this like an idiot. Um, so I had no knowledge whatsoever, and it wasn't until I met Lori where she's like, "Oh yeah, it's fine," and it has been, and I've only met three guys out of the hundreds that I've met who are super condescending and assholes. So, um, besides those three,
Hmm.
every guy has been super helpful and welcoming and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Um,
I haven't had an issue with men except for those three, and they were ugly.
well, oh, Carissa, thank you for coming on the show. I was a little like flabbergasted, and because you're the second person to ever, no, the third person to reach out and ask if you wanted to be on the show, and I'm like, that's it's fantastic. I love what you do. You are a comic book writer.
Mhm.
You specialize in horror.
Yep.
um right off the bat, I do want to say congratulations on hitting your Kickstarter mark.
Oh, thank
uh when I look at Kickstarters, and the the thing about them that also kind of like freaked me out, because I thought about doing Kickstarter for my book. It's just the putting yourself out there and wishing somebody would come in and support you in what you do, especially in the arts, because I'm a lover of all the arts, music, art, you know, plays and things like that, because I think creativity is really really important. And when you sent me those two books to read over, Serafina, the character Draven, um, I immediately fell in love because I love horror as well. I don't know what it is about horror. I don't remember like when I got into the genre of horror, but I was hooked from a very very young age. Like where does your beginning life come from horror? Like what started it?
I was 6 and I was hiding on the stairs of my parents' house and I was watching my brother watch Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and I was watching the marionette scene with the veins and the heroin guy.
Yes.
Um and I was fascinated, probably more than anything. I was not scared. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Um, and yeah, I was fascinated by it. And then the next one I saw, I think was Cujo, also hiding on the stairs. That one had a little bit harder effect on me because I don't know how I became a dog groomer after that, but um, I was at the park and there was a like right after, and there was a giant Saint Bernard that was muddy and slobbery,
Oh.
running around, drooling, and I was like, "Son of a bitch, I'm out of here." Um, so that's that was more scary. Um, but yeah. So that probably is what did it. And a lot of my every issue has an Easter egg from a horror, 90s horror or video game or urban legend. Um, and like one of them is Freddy Krueger's sweater in issue 3.
Really?
Um, yeah, and I had Robert Englund sign it. So that was
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah. I love Robert Englund. I loved him less and less after 4 hours being in the line until I got to him, and then it went back up. But he his positive and negative trait was that he talked to everyone for 10 minutes, and that's great.
Oh, that is great.
Unless
I would
unless you're
think that
Lori.
someone that large would be like, okay, let me just sign this and let me just scoot away.
Well, he should have because we were waiting 4 hours. But I mean, he literally we did the math and they pushed away at least 100 people.
Oh
So
no.
100 people times $120 is how much. So that's how much he gave away so that he can talk to his fans. The only reason why I was upset was because they kept we were last. We were there's three of us last, three random people. Um, we did get to know everybody in line. Like, I'm surprised we didn't do weddings after, but we were bonding through this. And the reason why we were unhappy was they kept saying, you might not get up there. You might not get up there. He has to go to lunch. You might not get up there. And I was like, I damn well better get up there. And then after 3.5 hours, the two people behind me were like, we're going to leave. They weren't together either. Just like, we're going to leave. And I was like, nope, you're not leaving. Because one, doesn't help me. You're behind me. And two, if you go, I will get a signature and I will hunt you down and make sure you see it. So they did not leave. And then they were grateful because we were the last three to get the autograph.
Good. Oh, that's great.
Our feet were tired. We were exhausted. But then when you get up there, he's like the nicest guy. But the only thing we were mad about was after 4 hours, they're like, okay, there's no personalization for like the last couple. I'm like, really? Like, it's been 4 hours. But he did it. He did a personalization anyway. And he actually took a copy of my book. He thought it looked awesome. And he was thrilled. So yeah. But yeah, so I've got a lot of people's autographs, and everyone that I get their autograph, I actually give them a hard copy. So like, you ever watch Supernatural? You ever watch Supernatural?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So Supernatural is highly inspired my comic. In fact, Baby is the Impala is in 4 through 6. And they actually they all Jensen, Jared, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and a couple other ones all have my books. I still have to bring it to Misha. But they all signed one. I have one copy that if I ever get stolen, I'm just gonna like crawl up into a ball and die. But they all signed it, and they're super nice about it. In fact, I handed a copy to. I didn't think I'd be able to. Actually, I could tell you. We have time to tell you, really. So I'm gonna tell you a story that I probably shouldn't tell.
No, yes.
We were at Supernatural, and you're supposed to wait for your line to be called, and I would have been last. There was a row of us that should have been last. This makes up for the Robert Englund thing, I guess. So they were like, you have to go by row, and whoever pays the most goes first. So generally, it probably would have been an hour wait at least. So while we're waiting here, and I'm there by myself. I talk to anybody anytime. So I'm bonding with all the people around me. And she accidentally said, everyone get in line. So we all got in line.
Oh no.
We were like 10 behind, when we should have been, like I said, behind 300 people. And then she said, just row A. And I said to the two people in front of me, who again don't know each other and don't know me, I was like, you didn't hear that? And they're like, no. And I was like, well, I didn't hear it either. And I was like, let's just stay here. We either sit down or stand up. They're going to kick us out. They'll kick us out. So we're waiting in line, and they kept going through, and they kept saying, I don't know what they asked us, but they never asked us if we weren't belonging there. Like, I think they were asking us if we were supposed to go somewhere or something. And we kept saying no. They never once asked us if we were first row. They just kept saying first row only. And I'm like, oh, all right. So we figured by the time I got up there, they would check our sheet and see that we're not. They looked at our sheet, they scanned it, and they let us through. So we all got through, and I was like, fortune favors the brave. And I Jensen was signing my book, and the music's playing, so you can't really talk. But I said, you're probably not interested, but I wrote this, and I brought you a copy, and you don't have to take it. And he stared at it for a second. I think it was like computing. And he's like, hell yeah, I want it. And he took it, and that was that. So I don't know if he's ever going to read it, but he has it. Jeffrey Dean Morgan was super excited about it. He goes, we're comic book people. I can't wait to read this, blah, blah. And also Jared was like the nicest guy, and he kept saying, I can have this. And I was like, yeah, I want you to have it. He goes, really? And I was like, yeah, please just take it. I was like, yeah. And I gotta tell you a funny story about that too. So he signed, I don't know if I have, there's an homage cover from I opened right to it. So this is the homage cover. If you know Supernatural, there's a poster where Dean's in the front and Jared's in the back, and then there's the car. Only the car's in the other directions. I was trying to make it different.
Yeah.
So I wanted them to sign this. So technically, Jared is supposed to sign the girl because that's where he is. So I went to go tell him that he had to sign the girl's position, but he was so freaking excited about being buff because he thought the other one was him. And he's like, I can't wait to tell my wife how buff I am. He's like, I cannot wait. And he's signing it. I did not have the heart to tell him that it was not him. So yeah, so he signed that. But yeah, that's good. I liked it. I know.
That's awesome.
Sorry, that was like the ramblingest story ever.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. You're good. So how long have you been writing horror?
Um, so all right. So, like I said before, I want to make fun of you know I can't say it now because I won't piss anybody off. But I am dyslexic, and I started writing after I played the game Resident Evil 2. And I started role playing as Claire Redfield. But because I was dyslexic, I kind of just did one liners, Um, and I did probably for 2 years one line. Now I can't even understand how I did one line. I was like, how did I write that low?
Mhm.
But I did one liners for 2 years. Then I took a year, two years off because so much drama. You wouldn't believe it. Drama and everything, but in role play, there's a lot of drama. Um,
Really?
oh, freaking melodramatic freaks of nature, but and I mean that as me too. So for all those freaks of nature, I'm there with you. Um, but I guess that's where the live thing comes out when you insult somebody you shouldn't insult. But I'm right there. So yeah, I role played for 15 years as Claire Redfield. And I met my co-writer through this. And I had this story idea for the longest time. And I'd gotten this story idea from watching Supernatural because I don't know if you caught on to it because I don't know how many you read, but it circles around an angelic weapon. So her soul activates this angelic weapon, and heaven and hell both want it because it could tip the scales of the war in their favor because it's a
Yeah,
powerful
I
weapon.
saw the scene where she went into the. Well, I read the scene where she went into the church by accident, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
that I caught on real quick. So okay, so she's like the key.
Yeah. So her soul activates it. Now, if her soul activates it, that means she doesn't exist anymore. And her and Draven are soulmates. They live through different lives together. So if her soul's destroyed, they can never reincarnate together, and Draven would never see her again in the afterlife or ever. Obviously, he's not for that. So it's kind of a survival horror for that. Now, her father, the angel, wants it for a different reason. That there's a hint to it, and the other guy wants it because he's an ass. So Draven's father wants it because he wants power. So he doesn't really care if hell or heaven wins. He just wants power.
Right.
And the fathers have been fighting back and forth for years. Um, and she was created from the weapon because angels can't have kids, and he married a goddess. And so that she wanted kids. So he created her using both their powers and souls from the weapon. So the weapon was inside her. Now, what happened in their last life, which is a hint I'm going to tell you what I'm working on, but in their last life, it ended in a way that has never ended before because her father tricked their guardian angel into betraying them. And because of how it ended, this life is different. So this life is way more chaotic. The weapon is out of her, and now they're dealing with this weapon that they have to protect. They don't even know what it is. So because of the last life, they're dealing with that now, and it's a lot more chaotic. Every life, the fathers try to get the her, but this is the
Hmm.
first time. So the thing about her last life, it was in the Wild West era, and we always had the last issue written pretty much because that's the ending of the last life. Well, we just got, for some reason, my co-writer and I just woke up and we're like, we want a Wild West story. So we started writing the Wild West to that, it's like the beginning of that series. So we actually just started that, and we already have like 10 issues plus, of course, the ending. So now we have the Wild West, where it's a prequel to Redemption, which is the one that's out now.
Oh,
So
nice.
in their last life, there'll be angels, demons, but they're also hunting these cryptids. So you get to see Wendigos and Jersey Devils and chupacabras and kelpies and all these stuff. And we created our own too. Like we have a demon plant, dragon demon plant. We have rams. I don't know why I created these, but they're funny as hell. Um, there's these sheep that I created. They're demon sheep, and they're just a nuisance. They eat sheep in the herd, and they take their place so that the sheep stay the same.
Okay.
And the only time to see that they're not real sheep is in they glow bright green in a full moon, and they have this breath that puts you to sleep, which is where the myth of count sheep and you fall asleep, because when the
Oh.
shepherds would count them, they would breathe in the breath and they would fall asleep. And the more sheep there are, the more deadly the breath is, so you can actually never wake up depending on how many sheep are there.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
I and you want to know where this came from? This is how stupid shit happens. Did you ever play the game Heroes Quest? You want to be a
Y-
hero? It's a first
Yes.
game. Okay. There's an elixir you have to find, and one of them is the green tuff of Meeps. And I don't know why it just popped in my head. I wanted this green fur as like an Easter egg, and to have a green fur, I needed something with fur. And I don't want the werewolves because they're gonna. I want them to be fur, so I made it green wool from these sheep that I made up. So yeah, so I I came up with sheep. So then we have crows. We have six-eyed crows that they need. So the goal of them is to find all these items from off of cryptids, but they can't kill them because it's an immortality elixir, and if you kill the cryptid first, it loses its immortality power.
Oh
So they
wow.
have to
Okay.
do what's alive. So they need a piece of the antler of a Wendigo without killing it, which is not easy. I thought it would be more challenging this way, so I was like, let's do it the hard way. So we created these crows that they need a feather from, but they change in size. Um, so when they get mad, if you try to grab them or you freak them out, they burst into flames. So then you can't get the feather. So it's just to piss off my characters. So we have a couple of these things. Now the reoccurring cryptids in the story are werewolves, um, demons, and my favorite are clotters, which is a mutated vampire. Now, in Redemption, issues 4 through 6, you meet these clotters. And in the Wild West, you see how they got created. So, and I love the clotters just because they're a little bit more unique. So what happened is something happened in the Wild West that created it where their heart beats once every 6 hours, which is just enough to keep off rigor mortis, which is a real thing. I looked it up. So I picked the hours. So they have this clotted blood, which makes them more powerful. But because of that, they have to feed directly from a human. They can't do blood bags. They can't do animals. And because of this, if they don't feed directly from a human, they start to decompose like a zombie.
Oh
So
okay.
sometimes they're weaker if they're hungry or whatever. So because of this, and because they're not like Buffy vampires, they actually have kind of souls. They only turn the most ruthless people because they'd have to kill people to do this. So they made it so it was more ruthless, you know. So they're one of the most ruthless species of vampires. But the worst part is if they bite you or taste your blood, they can track you wherever you go. And they don't stay out with salt like demons. They don't mind the sun, all this stuff. But if you kill that one, the nest can then track you, and they want revenge, so they will track you down till they kill you. So that's how I torture my characters. Um, so yeah, so we have all these things in that one. In Redemption, it's more of a horror survival where they're trying to survive against anything their fathers throw at them.
Yeah.
Like issues 1 through 7 is very Silent Hill. You know, they're in a town that's merging with hell and they can't get out because all the roads are destroyed, like in Silent Hill. Zombies are coming up, hellhounds, ghosts, Anubis, all these things are coming up. And then in 8 through 12, they're trapped in Haunted Asylum with giant salamanders, which is our homage to Lickers from Resident Evil 2. Because I hated those fuckers. So that's and ghosts and zombies. So then once they get out of that, then issues 14 through 22 is Resident Evil 2, where they're trapped in a zombie infested town with 2 survivors and they're trying to get out. And then 23 through 20 through 44, they're trapped on an island and a lot of shit happens there. So
Wow.
the series is already written. I wrote it with my co-writer before we even started the comic books. We already had series 1 written, so 44 issues are already finished for series 1. If we want to continue to series 2, would be we already have 30 issues already finished. So we have that written. Now, the unique thing about our story that a lot of people don't get is that the 2 main characters are written by 2 completely different people, because I write first, I write Seraphina and the first whatever chapter I'm in, and then my co-writer will write the chapter in Draven's point of view, and he'll talk to her and answer any questions, and you can hear his thoughts and what he's doing, what he's doing. So
Wow.
when you're reading it, um, they have 2 completely different personalities, which is very unique to a comic book. You don't usually have that. So you got that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So going back to what you said about the cryptids, and I did see and I think we are. I think I'm allowed to announce that Anubis is in
Oh yeah.
Redemption. Like it's on the Kickstarter too, and there's a plushie you can get at one of the levels. And it
Yeah.
looks adorable, by the way.
Really cute. So we plushies are our thing. Like I got made fun of when I first started because I have so much merch, and I'd be like, they're like, "Why do you want merch?" I was like, "Because I wanted it, and now it's tax deductible, so there's merch." So I have certain like this one, our zombie mental patient with a real working straitjacket. This was handmade, but this one we have like 7 or 8 handmade ones, but this one was our first commercially released one. We also have Bassett, which is somewhere in here. Um, and then this is um, our new commercially made one. It's his name is Chatty. He's his own cryptid. He is a chameleon vampire bat.
Oh
So
wow,
he's a chameleon with wings, but he's got fangs and he's a bat that can blend in with the background, so you don't know he's there.
that
Um,
is awesome.
yeah, so he's in our pre-order now and our add-ons. Usually I don't have pre-orders, but so many people wanted him, so I just add him to him. But he's only $29, and as you can see, he's pretty big. And he's already getting made, and he'll be shipped here. And then we have a Hellhound, and I don't have the only Hellhound because someone bought him. Um, I had my first guest spot at the HorrorCon this past weekend, and my friend wanted the Hellhound, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna stay him. He's the only one I got right now. Um, so she got the prototype. This is the prototype, and
Oh wow,
so he's on his way too. But in the pre-orders, they're only $29. You can find them in there.
that's
Um,
awesome. So like
yeah,
with the cryptids and with Anubis, like I do a cryptid show, so I spend hours, researching the cryptids
nice.
and where they came from, the origin stories and things like that. When you were doing the research for the cryptids, did you incorporate those type of things into the storyline as well? Like because
Oh,
the chupacabras are from Puerto Rico, and it's a western. And by the way, I do love western horrors. I don't know what it is about it. I have
me
absolutely
neither.
no idea what's about it, but I love
My
western
friend's like,
horrors.
"Why? Why are you doing this?" It's like, "Cause I can." Like, I don't know. So we didn't do regional wise. We did ignore some of those fun facts. But all their like legendary skills or powers or weaknesses, we kept those.
Okay.
So chupacabras are where going after the sheep because they're goat suckers. So they're
Yeah.
at the farm where the chupacabra is going to attack them while they're attacking the sheep. So we did things like that, like the Wendigo, how they can mimic the voice,
Yes.
and
Yes.
how they like to eat you while you're alive, and
Yes.
yeah. So we have stuff like that. Yeah, we have the Kelpie. I haven't gotten to that one in the story yet, but he's on the list. They need a piece of the seaweed from their mane. We do have two versions of it. One's going to try to kill her, and then one's going to help her. And she's an angel descendant, so everything evil is after her. Is attracted to her.
Yeah.
But animals also like her too because she's part angel. So they do get attracted to her, so that helps too. Um, so yeah, we try to keep things like that. But as regional as like obviously Jersey Devil is.
Yeah. New Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's around 1880s, because it's every 100 years and they're born in the 1980s. So we kept it around there. So they're in the 1880s. So we kept historical facts accurate. Like, she was trained by Samuel Colt's son, Codwell, because he's an inventor. Um, we couldn't do Samuel Colt because he was already dead in 62. But the son also, was an inventor. So he's off with his yacht like he is in real life. Um, so yeah, we try to keep that. The only thing we didn't do, and I don't really care, we didn't really do any kind of Western twang or something. Like I even have like this little disclaimer in the front. I was like, historical facts, yes. Historic, um, verbal accuracy, no. Like, we didn't like. I wasn't gonna hurt my brain with like Western twang and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Um,
All the aneurysms and all
yeah,
of the
no, I
yeah.
don't care. We did a medieval times in series 3, and it broke my brain. When I had to look up all the words that were invented in the 1600s, and it broke
Yeah.
my brain. So I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I do look up certain things, like, so she pinky swears, that's her thing. I had to look up to see if it was the thing in the 1800s. It actually is. That I had to look up. Somebody calls her something, and I was like, does that word even exist? And it did. I looked up like 7 things, and I was surprised that they were all there. She uses a high power water pistol that's salt water for the demons, and I
Mhm.
had to look up if anything like that was invented, and it was invented in 1890. So I'm having it where they invented it, and she just kept it until it was released. Um, but I looked up a lot of things like, would they say this back then? And they did. And I was like, really? So there's a lot of things that I learned because I did not know that these phrases, I'm sure some phrases we didn't like. There was one I didn't bother looking up because I was like, I don't think they have it. Oh, he used a stethoscope. I had to make sure that was invented, and it was. Um, there's a couple of things I had to look up, and I was severely surprised. Oh, what else? What was the other thing? It was Pinky Swear, but there was a saying that people say. It's gonna drive me crazy now. I don't know. There's a saying somebody says that's like something. I looked it up and I was like, they really said that. So there was a lot of things that I looked up that I could not believe have been around for as long as they have. So yeah, we try to look up a lot of things.
Do you kind of blend and kind of divide how much supernatural stuff you put into your writing, and then how much like horror and like, well, I don't want to say traditional like old school horror, like, zombies and things like that, but like, do you how do you balance the amount and type of horror into your stories?
So it's called chaos. We don't have any balance. We just throw whatever we want at them. Um, so like in Redemption, it's pretty much everything attacks them. So they're pretty much fighting whatever goes after them. In the Western, it's Worthy Chaos Devastation because of the way it ends. Um, that one has more balance to it because they're going out. They got tricked into getting these items, so they're going out looking for these. So it's not as, they're being stalked, but not as like they are in Redemption.
Yeah,
So there's a balance more in the Western. Like I don't even think there's really a lot of cryptids in the first 2 issues or something because they don't really start fighting them to like issue 3 or 4. We have a we have a plant demon that divines go inside your ears and it goes into your brain and then they control you like a puppet. So they
oof,
do get attacked by a grizzly bear that they think is a bear, but it's actually being controlled by this giant dragon plant. Um, that so there's that. So they first get attacked by that, and then they have to actually fight the actual dragon plant. Um, so there's things like that, but it isn't until like I think it's like issue 4 where they start going on the hunt. I think the vampires are in 3 and 4. I think it's 4. Yeah,
really?
yeah. And then the vampires eventually stalk them because they don't know that they could track them wherever they go because nobody has ever fought a Clotter before. So it's this new thing for them, and they only know regular vampires. You can't stab them in your heart because, you can't really do that in the old times anyway. They also weren't scared of the light in the old times, which is why I did that. And if you want to know where Clatters came from in my mind, I did not like that vampires would bleed in movies when they don't have a heartbeat. So I was like, what would cause them to bleed to make it accurate? So I had to be scientifically accurate in my horror fiction. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna make them bleed, and then to
it,
bleed,
it
they have to
has
have a
to be
heartbeat, and I was
it
like,
has to be authentic. It has to be authentic.
right. So
Exactly.
and it's kind of funny because I think that's what my disclaimer says. It says, did we research historical events? Yes. Is everything historically accurate to the best of our knowledge? Do they talk the way that Westerns do? No. Just enjoy the story you're reading about demons and cryptids, and just get over that one fact of them, having that not having that twang kind of thing. Um, but yeah, no, we don't have a lot of balance. In fact, issues 1 and 2 are probably the most chaotic there is. Um, and I actually got in trouble with like one person. There was a podcaster that I was on, and on the live stream, he's like, I didn't like it. It was too fast paced. And I was like, never heard that before. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. 1 and 2 is very fast paced, but it balances out. And it's not like it's like nonstop. I mean, they do stop.
Yeah.
So it's not horribly bad. But he's just like, oh, they just go through things. And I was like, yeah, they're trying to get out of town, so they're just trying to destroy things as they go. Um, but yeah, it's very chaotic, and there is a reason for the name if you want to know what the name means. Um,
Really? What's the
yeah.
reason for the name?
So we couldn't think of a name, and I was having a really hard time. And then he says throughout the story, "You're worth it," because he goes through hell literally because of her, because she attracts everything negative, and she keeps telling him, "You should stay away from me because you're gonna get hurt. Because like my whole life is a disaster." He always says, "You're worth it." So to him, she's the worthy chaos. Like any chaos she creates, it's worth it for him to do.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's where the story got its name. But yeah,
So we talked about cryptids, talk about supernatural and the horror genre. I because this will be going on both of my shows for on 50 States of Terror and Narrative Quest. And Narrative Quest, I talk about the writing process and the creative process. I want to get in. I want to get into how you pan out and create what what the story is going to entail. Do you have do you have an end goal for the characters? Like, do you enjoy those type of stories where like you kind of want to see the main character die? Like how do you
not
map that?
supernatural. So there is an overall ending that is in our head. Um, and yeah, they 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 would die. They'd wind up in the underworld or somewhere. They get banished from heaven. But yeah, that would probably be the over goal. We haven't written that part. Like, so if I finished 44, um, there's an ending. Series one, I'm gonna finish. So if I when I finish series one, it has an ending.
Yeah.
And if you don't read the epilogue, which will have a warning on it, it'll be a happy ending. So, don't read the rest if you want a happy ending. So after they have their happy ending, all literally goes to hell. Um, and then series two would start. And series two does have a happy ending at the end of 30 issues. And if you don't read the epilogue to go to series three, then you have a happy story.
Yeah.
If you release series three is still being written. We've gotten obsessed with westerns now, so it'll probably be a while. But we have maybe 4.5 books. So we're like have a half a book to go in series three, and we got distracted. Um, that does not end happy. So no matter what happens in series three, it ends in war. So at the end of series three, it ends with and this is always the goal. Anubis um, and the Egyptian gods join my characters with their army of mummies, and the Greek gods, Hades and Hecate, join with their army of zombies, which my characters do not like because they've been fighting these things for the last, their whole life.
Oof.
But they have to team up with them, and they join up with them to go against heaven and hell and some Celtic religions because their mothers are Celtic. So there's an all-out war between all of this, and it pretty much devastates Earth, and they're trying to obviously stop that and then fix it and all that stuff. So that'd be series four. The reason why, and I had not made this connection, so I'm gonna have to call up my ex-husband. One of the things that cracked me up about the fact that they're teaming up with zombies is when I was married with my ex-husband, he played Warcraft, and I was a gamer, and he asked me to join, and I said no because you're in the Horde and I'm a zombie killer because I've been playing Resident Evil my whole life. I am not
Oh,
teaming
yeah.
up with zombies, and that was the whole thing. So when I went to war and I have her team up with zombies, I laughed at myself because I was like, my ex-husband will love this, because I said I would never team up with zombies ever. Um, and during battle, she's probably gonna kill more zombies than she's gonna, not. But um, yeah. So that's gonna be an interesting writing situation. The thing that's funny with the Western is we already have an ending, so we can literally end it at any time.
Right.
But we're so excited about it and we're obsessed with it, we really don't see it ending anytime soon. We're already on issue, I think, 7, but then there's 3 issues already written in the middle, and then of course there's the ending. Um, and there's going to be a couple of like there's going to be a ghost story in the middle of it. So it's very more supernatural esque than Redemption. Redemption is Silent Hill, Resident Evil, and then of course the supernatural, is thrown in there. But the Western is really very supernatural. Um, it's more about the cryptids. It's more about the battle between them.
Yeah.
So it's a different take on it, but you get to have all the same characters, and you get to find out why they're there. What they go through. Like one of my friends is like, "Do you what's the point? Like, why would you make a western?" It's like, one, it's fun. I want to do western. Um, and two, I just love the way they look fighting in West. I don't know what it is. Um, but I was like, it's a prequel. You get the I needed the ending anyway.
There's
Like for like
something so Americana about just the old West in general because it's so ingrained into our old school cultures. I remember like growing up watching Gunsmoke and The Rifleman and a bunch of westerns with my dad, Clint Eastwood films and things like that. And when you incorporate those two genres, it's just there's something so special about it that just it's so cool to see a zombie's brain gets like shot out with a single action Colt. You know, it's just it's just super cool. And with that, I wanted to also ask like your influences. I do. You did say Supernatural.
yes.
What and you just say Silent Hill. What other influences go into Redemption?
Um, so Silent Hill, the topmost, like you said, Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Supernatural. There's a lot of elements of not directly in it, but The Crow, because The Crow was a huge inspiration to me. Um, I never saw this, but I've been told Good Omens because the two fathers banter back and forth, and
Okay.
someone had asked me. They love the banter between the two of them, um, and somebody asked me, "Are they? Do they actually like each other?" And I said no. They've been battling for centuries now. Asma loves bantering with her father, Remnel. So I guess to him, he has a ball. Remnel hates Asma. So I'll tell you a funny story. Um, um, we this all started because I don't know where this specifically thing started, but um, it started because I created a weapon for Remnel because now all the angels in ours were I researched in scripture, so all their duties are and generally their personalities are accurate to scripture of how they wrote scripture. Um, so like Camiel is their guardian angel because in scripture he was the guardian of true love and of course conflict resolution because you can't have one without the other. Um, but her father was the angel that judged the souls in on earth for heaven. And like an idiot, I was like, "Where's he putting these holes when he's bringing them from?" So I made this weapon, and he carries them in the weapon. So that's what started the whole thing. Now, when we came up with Draven's father, the
Hmm.
funny story is we didn't even have a name for him until after we finished writing it. We just never had a name for him. So we came up with Asma because he's a chaos demon who feeds on souls. But the funny thing was it fit so well because he's immune to lightning and Remnel's power is lightning. So it was kind of like
Oh.
you had this, yeah. So everything fit. Like Remnel obviously goes to the bridge of souls, judgment, and Asma is the one that steals souls from judgment. So we didn't know it, but it just fit perfectly. Um, and that happened a lot. Like we have her guardian animal in the western and in the prequels is Apollo. I just wanted a rat with a sun on it, so I named it Apollo. However, I did not know that Apollo was actually the lord of rodents, so it fit. And then it gets even crazier. We didn't have a name for Seraphina's mom. Her mom's name is Serona, who could not have fit more. She's a Celtic goddess who's the goddess of the healing hot springs. And we did not know that she is best friends with Apollo. So in our story, Apollo the god sent Apollo the rat down to help her, but we didn't know that they were connected. Seraphina in not this prequel, but there's two prequels. In another prequel between these two, she's a fallen star. That's how she gets down when she's like 4 years
Hmm.
old. She's fallen. I did not know that Serona was a goddess of the fallen star. So it was like this whole thing. So everything connected. And then you're gonna love this. To top it off, I didn't even learn this, even though I researched him. I don't know how I missed it. Remnel was the first to sin against God in creating the Nephilim, which is the half angel, half human
Uh-huh.
giants. So in our story, he created Seraphina, which was a sin to create this child, and he had that's what he did in scripture. He created He was the first one to sin and create this half. It was just we always joke that it was meant to be, and
Yeah,
this
all the
actually
cogs are just fitting
yeah,
together and just
we're just like this just it just happened in some dimension and we're getting this info as we go. Like it's just
oh,
so
that's
amazing.
awesome.
So yeah, so everything just fits amazingly as we do it. And it's just amazing. So I don't know.
So is do you just write comic books, or do you also do short stories, novels? What else do you
We nothing I write is short.
do?
Ever like I don't know how I did. Now I sit down, I write 3 to 6,000 words in a sitting. Um, so people ask me what my process is. I have no process. I literally sit down with a vague idea and then I write and just whatever it pops out, pops out. Um, and I'm pretty positive that the characters are writing the story because not only do I not know what the hell is happening half the time, I've argued with the character in my head. One in particular, it doesn't happen a lot, but there was this one scene in book four, yeah, book four, where she goes into a room and these things attached to her and the floor is weird. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I was like, I have to start over. And the character's like, nope, keep going. I was like, I don't know what the hell's happening. So I kept going and I kept writing it. I was like, I don't know, this is going to have to start over. And the character's like, nope, keep going. And by the time the scene ended, I was like, that is the weirdest scene I've ever written, but it fit. It was perfect. So I sent it to my co-writer. My character's like, where the hell did you get that idea? I was like, I don't know. She goes, what happens next? I was like, I don't know. So it was just I'm arguing with this character in my head. Um and yeah, so it was really weird. So as far as we know, the characters are in control. We always say that the characters control everything. Like it'll be
So you rely heavily on the interaction of your characters to write the story for you.
oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, we have a generic way direction we go. And then like we always say we can't come up with a better idea than this. And that was pretty much day 5. So it's been like that. But we write them in novel form. When you said what's another form, so we actually write them in novel form. We've written 15 novels so far, but they're not for release. They're just for fun, and that's what I'm converting to the scripts. Is that the novels what we write?
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, and that's why our story is a little different because it's a comic book, but when you read a novel, you get inside their heads. And in this, I don't know if you realized there's a lot of thought balloons that normally you wouldn't have in comics. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
so
noticed that. I noticed that there's a lot of inner thought monologue inside the comic, and I was like, this is interesting. I normally don't see that. It's always in your face verbal dialogue,
yeah,
in your face, and it presents this thing where it normalizes and it humanizes a character as
yeah,
well because you're going along with their thought
yeah,
process, and it jumps the story, out to you where you do feel that Draven is like is wanting to be with Seraphina. You do feel the sense that Seraphina just kind of drives everybody away because she feels like she is like this omen of just bad fortune,
yep.
because
You
you're
nailed it.
visually not only reading it, but like in the way the art presents itself, it, it presents it to where it's not like it's a shock scene. It's a lonely scene. The character is by themselves in a panel, and then the thought bubbles come in. They're like,
Yeah,
okay, this is real. Somebody wouldn't be all actiony and thinking this. It is pensive. It's one action before something explodes. It's like that the 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 terror of what you're thinking. And I hope Draven just never realizes this because of what I'm thinking right now. And
yeah,
I don't see that a lot in comic books. This is fantastic.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if you got to issue 5 yet, but in issue 5, there's this part where they actually get 4 seconds to talk to each other, and they're in a hotel room, and Seraphina desperately wants to leave him because now these vampires are after her, and they're not going to stop. And her brother's after her, which is a demon. So she desperately wants to leave Draven because she loves him. And Draven wants to leave her because he has a horrible past, and his past is going to catch up with him, and he's going to affect
Yeah.
So you get to see this struggle now. um, because the characters are two different people, you could tell which one's mine. Mine is the one that talks nonstop and doesn't always think, and Draven's the one that thinks nonstop and barely talks. That is the people that write them. But in five, you have to read five because you have this internal struggle with Draven. He's like, I love her, I want to be with her, I want to protect her, but I should leave her to protect her. But I can't get myself to leave her because I just can't pull myself away from her.
Yeah.
And there's this part where she tries to leave and she gets to the car and he's like, I should let her go. I have to let her go. It's better for her if I let her go. And then he's like, I can't let her go. So like he goes, to stop her and she comes back and he's thinking she left because he confessed that he's an assassin. He's like, she must have left because I'm a killer and she doesn't want anything to do with me. And she
Yeah.
left because she's trying to protect him because, like you said, she causes this chaotic life. So his internal monologue is like, so she's confessing that she left to protect him. He's like, so she didn't leave because I'm a killer. And he's having this internal struggle. I want to tell her that I love her. It's just not coming out. Like, it's just like, I can't, I love her. I know I love her. I can't say it. And he has this internal struggle to confess to her. And he's just like, I give up and just don't leave. That's what he's just like, don't leave. And she's like, I won't. And that's actually their first kiss in that, spoiler alert, in that episode. Some people got mad that it took 5 issues for that. My first letter was like, in the first issue, why are they not kissing each other? Because they thought they were dead for 10 years and now they met each other. And I was like, okay, well, one, she thinks he's a demon and he thinks it's a dream. And 2, they get chased by ghosts like 4 seconds later of the entire town. So when would you like them to kiss? So yeah, it's a lot. But yeah, the internal monologue, I think, is a huge positive to the story. And it's something that you only usually get in novels. And so it's very novelesque when it comes to that, which is why I read novels. Like I used to read novels of my favorite movies because I want to know what they were thinking when that was happening. And when they don't have it in the
Yes.
book, I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
But like when I
And
read
it
The Mummy, I
and
wanted
it
to
it
read.
does it does kind of put a damper when you watch the movie too, because you ask yourself, why didn't they put this in there?
Yeah,
Because it
yeah,
made perfect sense in the book, but why didn't they put it in the movie?
yeah,
And you had the opportunity to put it on page.
yeah.
Do you have final say on like where the story goes? Do you have final say on like how the art is projecting your story?
Yeah. So I actually lead the story because I started this disaster. So I lead the story. My co-writer and I will Jess will discuss the general direction or ideas, and we feed off of each other. Like we'll come up with an idea, and then one of us generally would have a dream or something and be like, we dreamed this, and then we would turn it into this giant novel of whatever's going on. So we could turn a minute idea into an entire book. But generally, yeah, it's me that leads it. I would never do anything that my co-writer didn't agree with. Only one time did I shut down what my co-writer wanted, and it was because they're spoiler alert, they were in hell and they kept going through literal like disasters. And at the very end, when they finally get somewhere safe, she wanted it to all crumble. And I was like, you can't destroy them again. I was like, you have to give them this moment. Um, and then I have to say, there was 2 scenes that I would have never done. And what happened was it was when we first writing together. Literally like the first couple of second no. It's issue 3, but I can't remember like how many replies it was in.
Mhm.
Um but she wanted to do something and I was like, I don't really want to do that. But I did not say that because my co-writer had always said that nobody ever listens. So I wanted to encourage ideas because I wanted my co-writer to understand that I'm going to listen and I want to do this together with you. So I did it, and it turned out to be one of my favorite scenes. In issue 3, when he leaves in the middle of the night. Did you get to 3? I don't even know if you got to 3.
No,
Um,
I only got the first two.
Oh, I'll send you more. But in 3, he leaves in the middle of the night because he has to, and I hated it. I was like, I don't like that she has to see him leave. But it turned out to be one of my favorite scenes. And there was another one. What was the other one? Oh, that was bad. So there was a scene where in book 4 where they it's not a hallucination, but it's kind of like a virtual reality. They don't know where they're in. And she has to see him kissing somebody else. And I didn't want to do it. Um, and it turned out awesome. So I really did like it. So I let my co-writer come up with ideas that sometimes I wouldn't normally go with.
Yeah.
But I trust my co-writer, and it went really well. Um, so yeah, sometimes I get out bid. But generally I lead the story after, we come up with ideas, and then I write it, and then my co-writer will write back and back and forth. So I could
Yeah.
never write this without my co-writer, without Jess. I had this story idea for 15 years before
Really?
I met my co-writer. Yeah. And I kept being told people co-write role players wanted it. They kept saying, "We'll take the role." And I was like, "I don't know, you're not the right person. You're an amazing writer, and I write 5 stories with you, but for some reason you're just not for this role." Um, and then when I met my co-writer, 24 hours in, I was like, "You know what? You're perfect. You want this role?" And Jess is like, "I don't take roles, but yes." And that was it. We stopped role playing with everybody else, and we just became obsessed with it and just kept writing. So I had role played with people for 2 years that wanted the story, and I didn't do it. And then 24 hours into role playing with Jess, and it was like, all right, let's do this. And it came out perfect. And lots of ideas that I had to begin with, I got through role playing with other people. Um, and when we first started, I said, listen, I don't know how we're going to do this. I never in role play force characters to be in love. So how we're going to play this is my character is going to love your character from when they were teenagers, and you play it any way you want. So if you don't feel the chemistry when you're writing, then we it'll just be unrequited love, and it'll just be like this, thing. But no, like two replies in, you can tell the chemistry between the characters, like they're just this protective nature. They both want to protect the other one, and it drives the other one crazy
Yeah.
because they want to protect each other. And I don't know if a lot of people will notice this, but in the very beginning, Serafina doesn't care what Draven wants, and she'll just run in and do it. She won't give him a chance to protect her. She's very stubborn. And then something happens in, I'm trying to think of what issue it was. 9, 10. I think it's 10. So something happens in 10 that she finally lets him go into a room first, or she'll hide behind him because he'll push her behind him, and she'll let him do it. So she started to trust him and rely on him more than she previously did. She used to just run into, she'll still do it now and then because she's a stubborn little bitch, but generally she'll let him protect her more than she would before. And I
Is
think
that
that's
because Serafina doesn't think that Draven could um, protect both of them, or doesn't like have faith in his ability
I don't think see
to be the protector?
I don't think that. I think she doesn't want him to get hurt for her. And so it's more like, I'll do it. Like, I want to protect you. Like, I'm going to protect you. So I don't think it's that she didn't have faith in him. I think she just didn't want to risk it. And then when she realized that he's not going to let anything stop him, that she
Yeah.
should let him do it. Like, her risking her life is is harder on him. Like it's destroying him when he has to watch her get hurt. So that's when she'll still risk herself a lot of times, because no matter what, her life doesn't matter, he does. But she will let him be in the forefront, like in issue I think it's 11 or something. He says, "Let me go first," and she's like, "You're the boss." She's like, "Go ahead." And then there's one in 15, I think 16. I think it's 16, where she's about to open the door, and he's like, "Why? Let me go first." And she's like, "Why am I not surprised?" And he's like, "I don't know." But then the second he opens the door and this guy is like dying, she's like, "Oh shit!" And she runs in. He's like, "Will you stop?" And so she'll still do it, but she lets him, do things too. So it does, it does have you do see that she grows to rely on him more than
Yeah.
what. But she also, I mean, she was 10 years by herself being a supernatural hunter, so
Yeah.
she had to rely on herself. She had nobody else. So I think that also made it her stubborn. She's like, that also didn't help her
how
her
much of you do you put inside those characters as well? How much of
well,
like
her
you and your
sarcastic nature would be
experiences?
me. My favorite scene, if you remember, issue one, when he says, "What the hell are those things?" and she says, "They're ghosts," and he goes, "They don't exist," and she goes, "Put your hand through the fence," and he's like, "No thanks."
Oh yeah,
I love that scene.
the
Oh
iron
yeah,
gates.
he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, she's like, "Put your hand through the fence." He's like, "No thanks," and it's actually a nod to that in issue 14, where they're being chased by zombies, and they're on the other side of the fence, and she's like, "Unfortunately, this doesn't work the same as ghosts," and he's like, but she's like, "But if you want to stick your hand through the fence," and he's like, "Still no." So um, but I do like the callbacks and the sarcastic nature of the two of them. Um, my favorite part, which you won't see until like issue 14, I love Jealous Draven. Like you know, they when they go with two other characters, two other survivors, and one of them keeps flirting with her. Draven just like wants to punch him out every 5 seconds, and that's one of my
Oh
favorite. He'll
wow.
just shove him out of the way. There's this one part where he goes to shake her hand, he just shoves him, and he's like, "Nope." Um, and there's this one part in I think it's 16, um, where they get separated. He comes in and he sees them fighting, and they're talking to each other and fighting or whatever. And he goes in between them, shoves the guy out of the way, and just hugs her. And it's just like the guy's like, "Fine, whatever." So I love the interactions between the jealous Draven. So that's one of my favorite personalities
That's
of the
awesome.
yeah.
Well, Carissa, we've been here for an hour. It felt like we've
I
been
have
only
left now.
doing this for 15 minutes. This is fantastic. This is your 12th project.
Yeah,
This
12th
is your
issue.
12th project on Kickstarter.
Yep.
I'm seeing unbelievable success on all of them.
Thank you.
Congratulations for meeting your Kickstarter goal already.
Thank you.
I'm excited. I'm already a fan. Um,
Thanks.
I love the dynamic. I love the process. I love the thought process on how these two characters just interact and how they make the story go. Before we sign off, is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to promote right now?
Um, so I always promote my Kickstarters. We do have one every other month. We always have either something live or in pre-launch. So always search Kickstarter, search Worthy Chaos on Kickstarter. We're the only thing that pops up. Soon there'll be two. There'll be the Devastation and Redemption. But search Worthy Chaos and we'll pop up. The one that's live now is live for 9 more days, and it's a double issue, so it's 40 pages for the same price, $10. It's a very intense issue. Don't yell at me when it ends. But it's a very intense issue. I've had three people tell me they need therapy, so I'm sorry. Um, but yeah. So I do recommend that people that just want to start out, the easiest way to start out, there's a couple of ways. You can either buy for $5, you can get issue 1 and 2 PDF, but you can get a $10 issue printed for issue one. There's a catch up tier of 20 issues for only $25 digital tier. Um, but
Oh, awesome!
yeah, yeah. And also, I highly recommend the hardcover, which is this one. Um, it's the first 7 issues. It's 222 pages of story. Back cover is amazing. Um, but I highly recommend that. It's only $39. And book two comes out October 14th. So get one and then you can get two if you want. But the hardcovers are gorgeous. And we do one at least once a year. So, and you can get an issue every other month if you want. Um, so yeah, so you can follow me on Facebook. We have a group page, Worthy Chaos. We have a business page, Worthy Chaos, or you can follow me, Carissa Grant. And I'm the kind of kid that would have got kidnapped. I talk to anybody at any time, so you can just message me. Um, but yeah, check out my Kickstarter. It is not for money because I've been going into debt nonstop. I'm writing them because I want them. If I was rich, I would just give them away for free. But unfortunately, I was not that lucky. But check them out so I can keep making them. I will tell people that unlike most indie writers or indie creators, most of them release 2 to 4 a year, and I have released 12 in a year and a half. But
Yeah.
my artist is now finishing issue 17. So we are 5 ahead. You know you're going to get to the end because we're already making them. So unlike other Kickstarters where you're waiting 2 years for an issue, ours are shipped out 7 days after the Kickstarter ends. So they're
Wow.
already in hand, they're already made, they're just waiting for you to buy them. And no, I did not. I wasn't rich. These are all on the credit card. So help me pay back my credit card by buying my Kickstarters.
Yeah.
So
Hell yeah.
yeah,
Hey, everybody out there who
yeah,
you are right in the camera, you need to spend money, support local artists,
yeah,
support indie writers, support indie authors, support indie creators, man. Yes. We
yeah, yeah.
somebody please
And
sponsor me.
thank you for having me on. And if you don't mind, maybe I can come back in October. It's my 2-year anniversary to
Yes.
Halloween. I would love to come
100%.
back. Yeah, I would love to come back and show you my second hardcover. They're already ordered and they shipped out probably yesterday or today. So they should be here soon. They're gorgeous. Wait till you see those. Just oh my god.
Yeah,
Um,
this
so yeah,
this was this was very, very fun. I had a blast. I do want you back in October. This is great. I'm excited to see what comes next. You know, I really do like what you're doing is inspirational because I see the work that's that puts into it, and I'm just like, all right, I got to keep on writing on it. I got to put 1,000 words back on paper. I got to edit my book. I got to redo my short story over here. I have to
yeah,
post on Vocal. I have to do my Facebook. I have to do my show.
yeah.
What you're doing is fantastic,
Well,
and
thank you.
thank you so much for
Thanks for having me on. It's podcasters like you that help get my story out there. And I couldn't do this without you guys. So I
Oh,
appreciate it.
absolutely. Hell yeah. And once we sign off, just stay on and then we'll chat a little bit afterwards.
Sounds
But
good.
yeah, thank you again. And everybody out there, just follow the show, follow Carissa, get her comic books, support, support, support. Thank you all.
Or share out is good enough for me.
Exactly. Share, share, share.
All right.
Later, y'all.
Thanks, guys.